illusion of competence. So you read an actionable, insightful book. You learn visually by highlighting the key points and underlining the keywords. And then an hour later, or maybe it's 5 minutes later if you're like me, you try to tell your loved ones, your friends, your family about all these amazing things that you've learned, but there's that awkward pause. Why can't I explain what I just learned? What was that idea again? This happens to the best of us. It's called the illusion of competence. The gist of it is all that underlining, all that highlighting, all that note-taking. It's giving us the illusion that we're learning something new while our brain is just relaxing like a potato. So how to fix it? One way is to take smart notes. Wait, actually, no air quotes. These notes are actually smart. This is how Leonardo da Vinci took notes. You know, the polymath genius who invented tanks, made scientific discoveries in astronomy, civil engineering, zoology, geometry, and had time to paint on the side, The Last Supper and the Mona Lisa. Nicholas Luhmann also used smart notes and published more than 70 books and almost 400 articles on the economy, law, politics, art, religion, media, and even love. So if you want to become a powerful thinker, or you just want to remember the things that you've learned, smart notes is going to help you do that. There are 3 things that make smart notes smart. The first one is smart notes are active, meaning that they're not passive highlights, underlines, and notes that just follow the author's flow of thought. Instead, it's about actively restructuring other people's thoughts into your own structure. Now, you might ask, well, what is my structure? Well, if you don't already have one, here's a great one to get started. It's called QEC. QEC stands for question, evidence, and conclusion. This is what I used in law school. Even if you are not studying for law, this still works because Professor Cal Newport from Georgetown University, who's written lots of books on deep work, on time blocking, on digital productivity, he uses this method, and actually he was the one that named this the QEC note-taking method. You look for only 3 things when you're reading: the questions, the evidence, and the conclusion. This way, it doesn't matter what you're reading, which order the author puts his ideas in, you can always find these 3 things and link them together. Professor Newport even has a system for identifying them while you read. For any conclusions, ideas, you put a dot next to it. For the evidence and example, you put a dash across it. And when you review your notes, you think about which question are these ideas trying to answer and which evidence links to these ideas. Let me give you a quick example with the book Atomic Habits. James Clear, like his name, he's a very clear writer. So many of his headings are actually already questions. Then you go down the page and you look for new ideas and put a dot next to them. He gives great examples and anecdotes, so you put a dash across those. Once you're finished reading a section, then you can put all these notes together. Start with question, give the evidence, and write the conclusion down. This is how it could look like. Now, most people stop here, right? I've got the question, I've got the evidence, I've got the conclusion. What more do I need? Aha. This is where you are going to outsmart others, because the next thing about smart notes is that they are atomic. The size of your notes and the ideas on them matter. When other people are organizing their notes in one giant document, whether digitally or in a notebook, you do something different. You make your notes atomic. This is a classic example of how tools actually shape and limit how you can think. Think about it. If you use a giant Word doc, how do you think? You think vertically, right? You think chronologically, you think A, then B, then C. If you take away A and C, all of a sudden you can't really remember what was B. But if you use atomic ideas, not in one giant document, but each idea stands alone by itself, then you can think in 3D, right? You can think up and down, left to right, you can think diagonally, you can think about this pile and that pile. All of a sudden, your ideas come alive. This is what Charlie Munger was talking about when he said, the first rule is that you can't really know anything if you just remember isolated facts and try and bang them back. If the facts don't hang together on a latticework of theory, don't have them in a usable form. So once you've got your QECs, you want each Q, each E, each C, each question, each evidence, each conclusion to be its own atomic note. Because in the next step, we are going to rearrange them. Especially if you're using the Zettelkasten method, making your ideas atomic is going to make all the difference. Because the third thing that makes smart notes smart is that they are connected. Which means one, we've already connected ideas with the QEC method, but there's a two, which is outside of these new things that you've learned, you also want to connect new ideas to existing ideas. Things that you already know. This is how we will combat the illusion of competence. The way to get out of the illusion is to make sure you're latching your new ideas onto existing ones. And how do you do that? You can try the compass of Zettelkasten thinking. I learned this one from my friend Faye. You take one idea in the middle and you think in 4 different directions. North is, where does this idea come from? West is, what's similar to this idea? East is, what competes with this idea? And south is, where can this idea lead to next? Let me give you an example from Atomic Habits again. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Let's use that as the main idea. Okay, so let's go north. Where does this idea come from? Well, James Clear says it comes from goal-oriented thinking that most of us do. But the problem is that winners and losers have the same goals, right? So what's different? It's the systems they set that help them achieve those goals. Okay? Then let's go west. What's similar to this idea of don't focus on goals, focus on the system? Well, systems thinking is exactly about this idea. I've talked about it in detail here, but the gist is that you want to troubleshoot a system to make sure that you're reaching your eventual goal. So just like how we manage large organizations, we can apply similar principles in our habit formations. Okay, then let's go east, right? What competes with this idea of focus on systems, not goals? What's opposite? What's missing? Well, we can say that goal setting is important, right? It gives us a direction to go towards and then have the system that get you there. But if your goals are wrong and you are on the wrong trajectory, then it doesn't matter how good your system is, you're not going to get to where you want to go. Goal setting has to happen first, but then you need the systems. All right, then let's go south. Where does the idea of goals and systems lead to? Well, as James Clear said himself, it's not just about forming good habits, it's also about breaking bad habits. Forming atomic habits has helped people with addiction, with weight loss goals. Coming back to systems thinking and larger organizations, maybe we can apply the same principles and help organizations break bad habits, like problems in diversity, like protecting the environment. Wow, just by thinking in 4 different directions, we're coming up with ways to solve climate change and diversity issues. Connecting ideas is essential. And if you want to take your smart note taking to the next level, then make sure you check out my Zettelkasten guide, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!